Hello! I'd like to welcome you to another episode of my vlog, Human Spaghetti Sauce, aka Cannibal Bolognese. Today, my name will be... Just gotta get it out of the wooden box here. Gruntled Bill. Gruntled Bill. So, I think it was like one or two episodes ago, I talked about something I wanted to call a feature, I guess, called Ohiowan, because I moved from Ohio to Iowa, and, people from Ohio are called Ohioans. And also last time I was carving up on this thing, my horn that I'm trying to make. Here, let's listen to it, see if it sounds any better than last time I played it. A little bit better. Oh, dust everywhere. I have to get this guy. And there's wood in my mouth. Anyway, what I want to talk about this week in Iowa is Iowa's high winds, which is interesting because not this past week, but the week prior, we actually had another storm where we had just excessive wind. Now, the thing you need to understand about living in Iowa versus where I used to live, which was not only in Ohio, but in a valley between Cincinnati and Dayton, so a lot more urban than where I live now, is that the wind is insane here because it's just so flat and it just sweeps across everything. Like, I'll be driving to or from work, and I'll be driving along, and I notice the car's pulling to the passenger side or the driver's side, and I'm like, boy, I need to get my alignment checked, because I'll just be driving, I'll let go of the wheel, whoa. But then I'll go from, going in a northerly direction, I'll make a turn, and I'll be going westerly, and it'll be gone. And that's when I realize it's not my car's alignment, but rather the breath of an angry God. Which is funny, because in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, when God spoke to Adam and Eve, he said it was during the breezy part of the day. So apparently God has something to say in Iowa. I don't know what it is, but he does keep calling. The 2 weeks after I moved here, I experienced something known as derecho. And this was 2 weeks to the day. So I texted my sister-in-law, and I was like, because they'd lived here for over a year at this point. I think longer, it'd been a couple years. And I was just like, hey, is this normal here? Is this something I should be freaking out about, or is this normal Iowa weather? And she's like, this is definitely not normal. Now, derecho, as you may or may not know, is a thunderstorm system that has wind that's excessively high. It's basically described as a hurricane on land, and the peak wind measured estimated was 140 miles per hour. I got that off Wikipedia, and it was nuts. We didn't have power for a week. We were without power for a while, and my wife was very pregnant. Though, honestly, I'd rather have a pregnant wife during that than a infant, because with how hot it got, who knows if my daughter literally would have survived. So, I guess count your blessings if you've got to go through a once-in-a-lifetime type storm. But yeah, Iowa, it's windy. And just as last time when I was saying, like I said, if I have something somewhat negative to say about Iowa, I'm going to say something positive about Iowa as well. And that thing is that I've noticed that people in Iowa are just really, really friendly and polite. And I've got actually a few stories about this. So starting off, the derecho. We had a tree on our garage. It fell from our neighbor's property. And the guys who were working on the house, like, this isn't the guy who owned the house, just the guys who were hired to work on the house next to us. They removed the tree from the garage, which, you know, it was from the neighbor's property. And it was like, oh, thanks, you know. It's like, well, no, it's like our responsibility because it came from our property. And it's like, you know, from a legal sense, it really isn't, but they did anyway. And then all the downed trees in my backyard, which did not come from the neighbor's yard, but from my yard. But like I said, I'd lived here 2 weeks, and before I lived in an apartment, I did not have the tools necessary for removing wood. This guy just comes over and is like, hey, you want me to cut up this wood for you? And this is a contractor working for the person who owns the house next door. He's not getting paid for this, but he just comes and does it anyway. Chops it all up into much smaller pieces, and we're able to remove it much easier. And that's just like typical Iowa. It was another time my license had expired, so my wife was driving me to work. This time she was still pregnant at the time, and she had gotten a flat tire, so I was going to walk to meet her. It was the middle of winter, and it was, I don't know, a couple miles walk. Some of it country, but like after a while I'd be in town. And this garbage truck saw me before I got very far, and he just pulled over and he said, nope, too cold, I'm giving you a ride. Which, by the way, it had never been my dream to drive in a garbage truck, but, oh man, it was awesome riding in a garbage truck. And this guy took me down the road, downtown, to where I was able to, like, I was like a block from where my wife was in her stranded car. It's really funny, because she was just like, from her perspective, she was just sitting there, and then I was like, is that my husband getting out of a garbage truck? And yeah, that's exactly what happened. And then there was this other time I was driving to work, and there's this third shift. I was driving through this little town in Iowa. I'm not going to give you the name, because it's none of your business. Let's call it Raisin, Iowa. Raisin, Iowa is even smaller than the town I live in, and has just a tiny, itty-bitty population. But anyway, I'm driving through the town, and there's these two guys going down this, you know, the two-lane road, opposing traffic, or oncoming traffic and going traffic, and they're talking to each other, probably neighbors. Two pickup trucks, one facing this way and one facing the other way, and they're just talking to each other through their windows, chit-chatting, and I'm like, oh, man. I'm going to have to find out a way to get around these guys, or I'm going to have to pull up behind them, and if they take too long, like honk my horn or something. I don't want to be rude, but before I even got up behind the truck that was in my lane, they just pulled off. One guy pulled into his driveway, and the other one kept driving. And you might think, well, that's not a big deal. That is flat out amazing. Once, in my hometown, in Ohio, my friend and I were driving in his car, and there was a city bus in front of us, and these two people, not in vehicles, decided to have a conversation in the street, standing in the street, talking to each other, when there was a sidewalk right there, blocking the bus, the city bus, from going anywhere. They were just straight up blocking traffic because they decided they were more important than anyone else. But here in Iowa, I don't even get up to the truck in front of me, and they move out of the way. Nothing needs to be said. Really, just really polite, amazing people. So anyway, that's it for that in this episode. And last time when I was working on this, I had, like I said, inadequate tools, and I said, I think I broke my knife. Well, I definitely did break my knife, but I ordered some more off Amazon. I got these wood chisels, and these much better woodworking knives. So hopefully these will help me along in my project of making and eventually tooting my own horn. Let's see if it sounds any better now that I've gotten a little bit more wood out. Little bit. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.